And just to let everyone know that this webinar is being recorded and it will be made available as a resource on our website. Okay, so I see Kathy. Hi, Kathy. Thank you so much for joining us today. Diane, Tony from West Philly, thank you so much for joining us. I see some familiar names, really exciting. Hi, Frank, happy Solar Week. We have a lot of folks from West Philly joining us. Thank you so much. I lived in West Philly for 2 years, so that part of the city is really close to my heart. Hi, Felicia from North Philadelphia. Thank you so much for joining us. I just moved to West Philly from Seattle 2 months ago. Great. That's really awesome, Sandy. And we have Chuck. I want to make sure that the audio is clear to all the participants. So if you could let me know in the chat that the audio is clear. If you could also confirm that you can see all of the panelists on the screen. Thank you for confirming that, Tony. Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that, Martha. I'm not sure. Are you? Yeah, it seems that for majority of folks, the audio is clear and good. Also on the call is Alon from PEA. He is the director of our residential programs. I see Jerome. He just joined us. Jerome is a friend of PEA. Thank you so much for joining us, Jerome. Paul is saying audio is okay for me. Okay, perfect. All right, so we are going to give it another minute and then we will go ahead and start the webinar.
Sounds good. Nice to meet you, Douglas.
Good to meet you, Douglas.
I'll tell you, we have a pet peeve, people named Douglas, because if they spell it with 2 S's, that gets on my nerves.
I think I agree with you on that.
Don't you?
Note that I have 1 S in my name.
Yeah.
I don't want to get on your nerve.
What's the pet peeve about people with the name Jared?
Just the guy from Subway. That's all.
Well said.
Nah, I don't have anything against anybody named Jared. I don't have anything against anybody.
I've liked every Doug I've come in contact with.
Does that include me, Jared?
Absolutely.
All right, great. Then I'm in a good place right now. Thank you, guys.
Okay, so I think we can go ahead and get started and other participants can keep joining the call. So we can go ahead and start this webinar now. So hello, everyone, and welcome to our Solar 101 webinar. My name is Mavish, and I am the program manager with the Philadelphia Energy Authority. Before I get started, I want to wish you all a very happy Philadelphia Solar Week. So this week, we're actually celebrating the 3rd annual Philadelphia Solar Week, and this webinar is actually a part of our webinar series. And Solar Week really is a time to celebrate solar as a win-win for Philadelphia and celebrate the many benefits and opportunities that solar brings to the city. So solar creates jobs, it saves money, and it also combats change, climate change. So this webinar really is an opportunity for us to, talk about some of those themes and also to walk all of you through the process of going solar. So with that, I'm going to give you a very quick overview of some of the topics that we will be covering today. So Max, if you could go to the next slide, please. The one with the agenda. Thank you. So I will start off the conversation by giving a very quick introduction on the Philadelphia Energy Authority and our Solarize Philly program. We have an awesome lineup of experts today. So we have 3 installation companies on the call. We have Solar States, Posigen, and Superior Solar Design. And all of these installation companies will help us understand the process of going solar, especially during a global pandemic, COVID-19. They will be talking about what the process entails, the installation timeline, some of the safety practices and procedures that are being followed during COVID-19. And then we will also talk about, the financing options, which is a question I get a lot from a lot of people in Philadelphia who are interested in going solar, and some of the incentives that are available right now. We will also talk about the environmental impacts, the job creation, how solar is strengthening the society and the economy. And then I'm also really excited to share that we have homeowners on the call who have already gone solar through the process. So they will share their solar journeys with us. They will talk about their experience. And towards the end of the call, we will open the floor for any questions. So with that, I will start with a very quick introduction, of our awesome line of panelists. So we have Jared Pashko from Solar States, who is the sales manager. And I've been working with Jared, I believe, for the past 3 years. He has been a part of the program, so really excited to have him today on this call. And Jared will be talking about the timeline, what the process entails, some of the security practices. Then we actually have 2 Douglases on the call today. So we have Douglas Malonsom from Posigen, who is the district manager. And then we also have Douglas Davis, who is the owner and founder of Superior Solar Design. So thank you so much to all of these 3 installation companies for joining us today, and we look forward to a great and an engaging conversation. So I can start by giving a very quick overview of the Philadelphia Energy Authority for those of you who don't know us. So Philadelphia Energy Authority is an independent municipal agency. We are based out of the Philadelphia City Hall, and we work to build a robust, equitable, clean energy economy in Philadelphia. In 2016, under the leadership of Council President Darrell Clark, we launched our main flagship campaign known as the Philadelphia Energy Campaign, with the goal to create 10,000 clean energy jobs. That's right. Our goal is to create 10,000 clean energy jobs by 2026. And since the launch of the campaign, over the last 4 years, we've helped launch over $167 million in projects, and we've created over 1,700 jobs, so really exciting. So the way we work is we support clean energy and energy efficiency projects in the city, primarily focusing on 4 main sectors, namely municipal buildings, schools, residential units, and businesses. So Max, can we go to the next slide? So let's talk about Solarize Philly, which is a citywide initiative to help all Philadelphians go solar. And Solar Week really is, an opportunity for us to celebrate Solarize Philly. We launched the program in 2017, and I'm really excited to share that since the launch of the program, Solarize Philly has evolved to become the single largest Solarize initiative in the whole country. So Philadelphia really has emerged, in the country as a leader. And as you can see from the stats on the next slide, that since the launch of the program, more than 6,500 Philadelphians signed up for the program just to get an initial assessment done for their property. And 750 Philadelphians have already gone solar through the program, investing more than $12 million into Philly's clean energy economy. And Solarize Philly alone has created 98 direct clean energy jobs. So we were able to keep the program up and running during COVID-19. Last year, we were able to get additional 500 signups, and we invested an additional $1 million into Philly's clean energy economy. And it was also last year that we launched the city's first ever rooftop solar program for low and moderate income homes. So as you can see on the next slide, we can switch to the next slide. So the first pilot program for low and moderate income homes in Philly, known as the Solar Savings Grant Program, Solar States is actually an installation partner for the program. And through this program, we were able to facilitate 50 low and moderate income homes to go solar from across 26 city zip codes. So we're just in the process of wrapping up the last couple of installs for this pilot. But right now the program is closed. We are working to find additional funding and resources. But right now this program is not open to Philadelphians right now. So okay, so the exciting big news is that we just launched phase 5 of Solarize Philly. We had a press conference earlier this week to announce the launch of Solar Week and also Solarize Philly. And in this phase of the program, we're really building on the success of our Solar Savings Grant program that I just talked about. And we are introducing new financing tools for low and moderate income homes. And I will let Jen talk about the new leasing option, which will be made available through the program. This phase of the program also marks the launch of commercial Solarize to support Philly businesses go solar. And through commercial Solarize, we will be working with solar developers who know how to serve larger customers and can offer innovative financing products. So this is just a photo from our press conference earlier this week. And as you can see, we had like some of the partners and city officials join us. And really, it was a reason for us to celebrate solar in Philadelphia. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So another important aspect that I want to talk about is, I know I talked about our goal of creating 10,000 clean energy jobs, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we have people who are trained to take up those clean energy jobs. So Solarize Philly runs 2 parallel training programs. The first one is for high school students, and we actually have approval from the Pennsylvania Department of Education to run the first of its kind high school career and technical education solar program in the state. And the other training program that we run is for Opportunity Youth ages 18 to 30 in partnership with Power Corp's BHL. So we have run 2 training sessions through the Opportunity Youth program. And the second session just graduated this year in May, and 6 out of the 7 graduates have already been placed into internships. And the next step really is to, support them find full-time employment. So, okay. So now comes the fun part. The really important question, is how do we go solar and what is the process for signing up for Solarize Philly? So the process is actually really simple. To sign up for the program, you simply go to solarizephilly.org, and I have the website listed here on this slide. So it's solarizephilly.org. Once you go to the website, this is what the window would look like, and you would see a button that says sign up now. Once you hit the button, it will direct you to a sign-up form that would literally take you less than 2 minutes to fill out. So the form would ask for basic information like your contact details, your address, your phone number, your email, and then some additional questions like your property type. Is it a residential building or a commercial building or a mixed-use building? And once you submit the form, we will then connect you with one of our partner installers who will then get started and develop a proposal that would be specific for your household. So that proposal would let you know exactly how many, like what the system size would be, meaning how many modules would the installer be able to fit on the roof, how much of your electric usage would be offset by the solar panels. And then, some of the other questions like what would the system cost? What would the payback look like? How much savings would you see on your electric bill? So the proposal would answer all those questions. And once you've had the opportunity to review all that information with your installer, you can go ahead in the process by signing a contract. And after a contract has been signed, the installer will then work with PICO and the Department of License and Inspection to make sure they have all the paperwork squared away. And once they have all the permits and all the needed paperwork, the installation process in itself, I think actually just takes 1 to 3 days, Jared, is that correct? Even during
That is
COVID?
correct. Yep.
Great, that is awesome. And once the system has been installed, PICO will give the final go ahead to flip the switch. And once you flip the switch, you can go ahead and start enjoying savings. So that is what the process looked like. Just wanted to provide a quick summary, but if you have any other questions, feel free to ask during the Q&A session, and you can also start typing your questions in the Q&A box that you see at the bottom of the webinar panel, and we would be more than happy to help you through your questions. So another really important topic that I wanted to talk about, and I get this question a lot from homeowners, businesses, property owners in Philadelphia who want to go solar, is how much does the system cost and how do we pay for solar? So the cost for a solar system really varies widely from one household to another or from one property to another because it depends on a number of factors, right? So one factor is how much electricity are you consuming right now, because your solar system would be sized according to your electric consumption or your projected electric consumption. Another factor is how many panels can the installer actually fit on the roof. So if there's shading or if the roof, if there's difficult roof access, the system size would be impacted accordingly. And another factor is, what we call adders, if you need any electrical upgrades or if the roof access is like a bit difficult. So that sometimes would also add up to the project cost. But typically, in the past, the installers that we worked with, they offered direct solar sales. And typically, we've been financing solar systems through an ownership model, which means that you can take up a solar loan or a home equity loan, and the loan would be designed in a way that, it would typically be less than what you would have paid to PICO otherwise, before you went solar. So in this phase of the program, we are also introducing a leasing model, and I would let Doug from Posigen talk more about this. And this is a model where you don't own the system, but you are able to access clean energy, and there are benefits to both models. And we will be talking more about both of these options and some other financing options also that are offered through Solar States and Superior Solar Design. So now really is a great time to go solar because we have access to all these financing options. I know Jared is planning to talk about the federal investment tax credit and the SRECs. And again, this really is a platform for us to discuss all these topics, and feel free to let us know if you have any questions, and we can pause and address those questions accordingly. Okay. So with that, I will pass it on to Jared, and I will let him talk about, some of the topics that I briefly discussed, the installation timeline, how the process of solar looks like during COVID. So Jared, over to you.
Thanks a lot, Mavish. Great introduction. And welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here today. My name's Jared. I am the sales manager for Solar States, and we are a company founded in 2018. And I'd like to start off with a short story. Our founder, Michael Gold-Markell, was attending a talk by a gentleman named Van Jones, who at one point was Obama's green czar and has talked a lot about the environment. And in his talk, he talked about something called the green collar economy and described it how a rising tide raises all ships. He discussed how renewable energy can really build up a workforce development program. And that really spoke to our founder. And he launched the company with a dual mission to install solar in Philadelphia, both residential and commercial projects. We've had hundreds, over 800 projects in the city, as well as do workforce development, hire Philadelphians. And so one of the first orders of business was building an education and training program to help Philadelphians who are matriculating through high school or re-entering the workforce or have been displaced from manufacturing jobs and need to learn a new trade have a place in a growing industry with stable career-oriented jobs. And so over the 14 years that we've developed these programs, along with the PEA and other organizations like OIC, ECA, PowerCore Philly, and others, we've begun hiring through these programs, as well as helping our competitors hire these great employees with valuable skills to install solar. And so that's really where the whole entire process started for us, was being a mechanism for creating change in Philadelphia zip codes. And to that end, we've really focused on what offerings we provide. We're a 45-person company. Our shop is up in Northern Liberties and or Old Kensington rather. And we really try to treat all of our employees with dignity and respect. We are a certified B Corp, and by channeling our efforts of people and planet alongside profit, we provide living wages, 401k plans, health benefits, profit sharing, and lots of other great benefits that hopefully give people a lot of stability in their work. And lastly, but certainly not least, as Mavish had alluded to, we are really focusing on providing solar options for everybody, and that solar is really equitable. And we're really proud of the many, many zip codes that we've installed in throughout Philly. For some of our solar homeowners, these are the first solar arrays in their neighborhood, maybe in their entire zip code. So making it something that is on everybody's block is a way to make sure that solar is on everybody's roof. And we've done that through the support of the PEA, in the Solar Savings Grant Program, as well as other programs that we have launched and worked with, currently supporting the Hunting Park Solar Initiative and lots of other great programs in and around Philadelphia. So that's a little bit about our company. And if we could go to the next slide, please. Mavish spoke a lot about all of these project steps, and she did a great job doing it. The slide doesn't show it, but one of the most important parts of the process is really an educational seminar with the installer that is assigned to you. Taking time to understand the design of your system, how the solar system works, from solar panels, inverters, racking system, how it interconnects into your home with your electric panel and your meter, what bidirectional metering is, and how that works on your utility bill, and all of the different facets that ultimately you want to understand in order to make this investment in your home. And so somebody like myself or the Dougs will sit down with you and talk as much as we need to give you all the answers so that you feel confident in moving forward with a solar installation at your house. And from there, really, there are a whole bunch of professionals on all of our teams that are going to take the ball and run with it, from plan sets to Pico interconnection, L&I permitting, through material procurement with distributors and installation by our install teams. We'll really handle everything. And at the end of the day, as Mavish alluded to, you'll flip the switch, commission the system after inspection, and get all of the benefits of being a solar homeowner. And so with that, I kind of just want really quickly, you could move to the next slide. Wanted to talk to a couple points relative to how we're handling the global pandemic of COVID-19. The solar industry was impacted just like many other industries. However, we adapted, and thankfully, through lots of great online tools, we've been able to service clients through virtual sales meetings, limiting contact and exposure, using software tools to design solar arrays, and great mapping services and satellite images to talk about your home. And through those means, we've been able to design preliminary arrays and provide preliminary quotes. Obviously, with anything this technical, it's important to have a site survey. At Solar States, we send out an engineer to do a site survey. We use drone technology to build a 3D model of your home and give you a 3D rendering of what the solar array looks like on your roof, and confirm all of the installation details and specifications, including all of the financing aspects. And from there, we'll allow the rest of our operations team to take us through the permitting steps that we had previously. That all happens following all of the city guidelines. We try to limit the number of people that are in our office. When they are in our office, per the current guidelines, they're wearing masks. When we're out at your homes, we really try to be mindful of having teams that stay together so there's not lots of commingling of contacts, and that if there's a 4-person team, we can keep their contact relatively isolated. In addition, we try to have as little contact in the house as possible. Most of the work done on a solar array is outside of the home, on the roof and on the exterior of the building. We do usually need to get into the home at some point, and so that work will be done by as few members of the team as possible, obviously wearing all of the proper protection. And we keep track of everybody who may or may not be exposed or test positive, and make sure to inform other employees that have come in contact with them, and of course, clients and customers. And so for all of that, thankfully, we've seen very few cases traveling through our workforce, and we continue to promote a safe and healthy workforce moving forward. So with that, I think that we will transition to the next slide here. Oh, there was one in between. Maybe we went out of order there. Here we go. So one of the biggest questions, as Malvish alluded to, was the cost of a solar array. And there are a lot of different financing options, and there are a lot of different incentives associated with solar. And one of the things that I would recommend to you as a resource that we offer is our podcast, which I am the co-host of. So I guess it's a shameless plug. But on here, we have lots of great episodes with different people involved in the solar industry. Some folks from the PEA have been on a time or two talking about different aspects, but you'll learn about all of the different things that might come up when you're discussing solar. And one of those is financing. And so really quickly, as we're wrapping up, 2 financing options that we promote at Solar States, both of which lead to solar home ownership, are a solar loan, which is a 0 money down loan with low monthly payments equal to or similar to your PICO bill, depending on the term that you choose, whether it's a 5-year loan or a 25-year loan, or cash payments, which also really rate discounted rates. And so either of those allow you to own the system, own all of the incentives and benefits associated with the system, and benefit from all of the investment that you're making in the system on the lifespan of its energy production. And so some of the incentives that you'll want to make sure to look at in a solar home ownership model are the federal tax incentive, which allows you to recoup 26% of the total cost of the solar array back through your federal taxes. The state SREC program. SREC is an acronym that stands for Sustainable Renewable Energy Credit, probably most commonly known as a carbon credit. And that is a program where the state actually helps you get money for being a renewable energy generator, kind of as a thank you for being a good person. And lastly, there was a program through the city called the Philly Solar Rebate. And that was something that the PEA worked very hard on putting together. It was a rebate check from the city, and it was phenomenal. Lots of homeowners got checks in and around $1,000 back towards the cost of their solar systems. Sadly, the fund that was promoting the Philly Solar Rebate is no longer available, and hopefully will be refunded in the future. There's a wait list, so homeowners going solar can still sign up and still get on the wait list. And if and when that fund is refilled, people on the list will get that payment in the order that they're on the list, which is another reason why you should go solar now, so that you can get on that list and be at the very top. I feel like I've gone a few minutes over my allotted time, so I will cut it there. And if there's any more questions on the financing stuff on the back end, feel free to write those in the chat and we can talk about them in the Q&A. I'm going to turn it back over to Malvish, who I think is going to share a small video.
Yes, Jared, thank you so much. That was really helpful. Before we turn to the video, we do have a couple of quick questions. I think it would be helpful if you can address those questions before we play the video. So Jared, one question for you. Beverly is saying, I don't have Spotify or Apple. Can I get your podcast from your website?
Absolutely. solar-states.com/podcast.
Great. We have another question. Is solar installation pricing affected by the supply chain problems that are affecting so many other things?
Great question. I I think the short answer is probably, but the good answer is that, as with many supply chains, there's a big distribution line, lots of import export. We're not seeing that hitting our panel supply right now in our distributors. I'll let the Dougs talk about their experiences. Another great reason to go solar now. These are ripple effect types of commodity markets. So if prices that are going up now are going to affect pricing and installations in 6 months and into a year and beyond. If I could get on the soapbox for one moment, there's been a big ripple effect of solar panels and where materials are being procured from, particularly out of China with slave labor. There's been a lot of work on behalf of the US government to stop panels that have been manufactured with mining materials from regions like that to not come into our ports. And so that is helping manufacturers hold manufacturers accountable to providing equipment that is sustainable and fair trade. And to that end, I personally in our company are seeing some small increases due to that. That is a price that we're happy to pay to know that the products that we're installing on your roof are not done through any kind of slave labor or forced work labor camps.
Jared, we have another great question from Maria, and this is actually a question I get a lot. What is the lifespan of a panel?
Well, panels are warranted for 25 years, which is generally regarded as the lifespan of a panel. You know that for your installation cost, you're going to get that guaranteed electricity through the warranties with the manufacturers. But the great news is that there was just a really wonderful article that came out on a solar array in Switzerland that's been operating continuously for 50 years and almost no maintenance and expense. So they last a really long time, right? They're up on your roof. They're meant to be in hot and cold weather, snow, rain, sleet, etc. They're in the desert. They're at the Arctic Circle. So solar panels are very durable. Thankfully, they're all a mechanical system, so there's no moving parts or motors. There's very little ways that they can break once they're operating smoothly. And with good care, they can last, decades, if not centuries, I guess. Who knows? I guess we'll see.
Thanks, Jared. I think we're going to address 2 more questions while we are still on the topic. So Andy is asking, what are the operating maintenance costs like during system's 25-year life?
That's a great question. We offer a 10-year workmanship guarantee. So there are no maintenance costs for the first 10 years if there's ever any issues with the system. Generally speaking, I think it's always healthy and responsible to make sure that you're putting aside some money for unexpected things. I see one comment here from Charles. Oftentimes a maintenance expense might be that there's a leak in the roof and you need a solar person to come and help remove a panel so that a roofer can get there and make a patch underneath it. Every once in a while, there are some small issues that might come up, and typical service calls can happen. We offer maintenance plans for very reasonable amounts of money, or I guess you could call it an insurance policy for an extended 30-year lifespan for both labor and workmanship as well as products. So relatively speaking, our goal is for there to be very little maintenance costs for the lifespan of the solar array.
That's really helpful. Thank you so much, Jared. So we do have questions from Dorothy and Simone, but we will come back to these questions. Up next, we have a video from one of our solar ambassadors who went solar through the Solarize Philly program. I think it was in phase 1 or phase 2 of the program, and she's been our ambassador ever since. We actually have her on the call today, and she will be talking more about her experiences during our Q&A session. And typically during Solar Week, we host a solar home tour, which is like an open house event, and people who have already gone solar open their homes to other people who want to go solar, just to invite them, have a look at their solar array, and talk about their experience. Obviously, since year, because we have COVID-19, we switched to all our events being virtual. And Leslie has been kind enough to join us today, and she also shared this awesome video that talks about her solar journey. So we will be playing this video now, and after this, we will be discussing some other important topics.
I went solar with Solarize Philly in 2018. My solar installation serves electricity to my entire house, and I'm very happy with it. I've now been active for about 19 months. I'm going to take you for a little tour around my house, and I'm also going to talk a little bit about some of the challenges I faced along the way. I'm so glad I found Solarize Philly. The standard process for providing you an estimate is they send a drone to your house and they send it up to look over your roof. They measure everything and look at the integrity of your roof, and then they also ask you for your electrical bill to see what your usage needs would be. And then they will send you an estimate if it looks like a viable project. Solar State sent me a proposal for a 3.84 kilowatt system, 12 panels that would cover the 100% of my electric use. I was so excited. The next challenge was my roof, because even though I knew it was in good shape, it was 25 years old. It was made of coated asphalt, had never leaked, and was well maintained, but it needed to be replaced. I was advised that a good material for under my solar installation would be TPO. TPO is a solid membrane that has the advantage of not requiring periodic recoating, which would be inconvenient under a solar installation. While I was at it, I decided to add a 2-inch layer of insulation under the TPO. This was a piece of deferred maintenance that would be much harder to accomplish once the solar was installed. During the roof installation, they accidentally cut my antenna wire. When I was trying to figure out what to do about that, I learned that that antenna had been casting a shadow over my roof. Since the antenna was old and damaged beyond repair, I realized the very best thing I could do was to just eliminate the antenna in favor of a better layout for my solar panels. Now I have room for 2 extra solar panels if I should need them in the future. The next step in the planning process is deciding where all of the equipment that is going to connect to your electrical system is going to go. A lot of people put the inverter box on the outside of their house. We decided since the inverter could not really fit in a good place on the outside, it could be put inside my garage. They drilled holes through that big stone wall to run the wiring through, and here we are at the solar inverter box, which is the standard equipment with any solar installation. This inverter is continuously sending data to Solar States, and then it comes into my app, which I have on my phone, so I can see how my solar is performing. It has various different data points it looks at. An inverter converts the DC current of electricity to alternating current AC, which can be used to power the house. The inverter then has to feed the electricity back into the house where it will reach the electrical boxes. So they ran the conduit pipes up along the ceiling and took a turn back down into the back wall of the garage where it enters the house. You see they've done a really wonderful job of installing it neatly so that it doesn't interfere with anything else in the room. Coming back into the house, we find this closet which has a conduit pipe which is coming in from the garage. It goes across the basement ceiling above the pipes and into the next room, which is the lower basement, heading towards my electrical boxes. There's a nice bend. Voila, here we are. They have connected everything up to my electrical system. Now, they added an extra emergency kill switch here because of the distance between the inverter box and my electrical panels. It was a little larger than average. Most people will only need one of those on the outside of their house, but it all depends on your house, what you have to work with. It took about 3 days to complete the solar installation. Here we have the ballast that was used to weigh down the solar panels and the framing. We also have installers carrying panels up to the roof, and on a snowy day, the second day, they put the wiring up to the roof and back through into the house. The little box on the right is a safety feature which must be on the outside of the house with all solar installations. It enables the fire department to cut the power off if there's a fire or some other emergency. If you follow this gray pipe all the way up, it eventually makes it all the way up to the roof where we have our solar installation. Finally, solar panels have been installed. The final step, once the solar is installed and once all the permitting has gone through the electric company, is PECO comes out and they install a bi-directional meter. So this meter runs in two directions, and it can tell the electric company when I'm producing electricity that is going back to their system because I'm not using it. Once the bidirectional meter is installed, there's a little more paperwork with the electric company, but pretty much you're good to go. The electric company then has a good record of how much electricity you're producing, and at night and when it's rainy or their solar panels are not performing to peak, how much electricity you are using from the grid. It's exciting to know that I'm now producing clean solar energy to power my house and also sending some back to the grid. With my app, I know that I've produced 7.6 megawatt hours of electricity, and I have these nice graphs that tell me my monthly performance. A very bright sunny day will show up as a nice bell graph on my daily performance stats. Otherwise, the more jagged appearance is more common, representing clouds or rain. The best news is that I know that my solar installation has prevented the emissions of 11,800 pounds of CO2, which is the equivalent of planting 89 trees. Go solar now! It's time!
That was lovely. Thank you
What a
so much,
great
Leslie.
video.
Yes.
We all agree on that.
That was a great video.
So we will be hearing more from Leslie shortly, but I know Jared has this really cool slide on some of the environmental impacts of Leslie's solar system. So if we could have that slide up, please.
So while they're pulling that slide up, we've talked about the financial benefits, we've talked about the social impact, and of course, why most people want to go solar is the environmental component. And Leslie shared some stats there, but I think they're old. We'll have to hear when Leslie filmed that video. We've got some updated stats here on her current system. So as you saw, it was commissioned in the very beginning of February. And to date, this was taken as of yesterday, Leslie. So if you're looking, your stats have gone up. You have offset the planting of 144 trees, which is the equivalent of 371 bags of trash or 981 gallons of gas. And to think that that's just over 2 years, the impact that your array will have over its lifespan is significant. You could take all of these numbers and add a zero to them over the next 20 years that they'll be operating, over 1,400 trees and 10,000 gallons of gas. So pretty awesome stats. And I'm sure Leslie's happy to hear that.
I am. Very much so. Thank you, Jared.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you. With your help, I'm very happy to keep up the good work. And it's been quite a process. I'll start out by just saying what inspired me to go solar. I actually started thinking about going solar in about 2009 or 2010. I have a son and he was about 17 years old, and he saw ads for one block off the grid and said, "Mom, you can go solar." And it's like, we really need to go solar. And so I really wanted to support his caring about this issue because of climate change, and it's his future I'm thinking about, and the future of all our kids. So I said, what the heck, why not look into it? Well, it turned out that at that time, solar was, the panels were much less efficient, and they told me that my roof was not big enough to put enough panels onto my roof to serve my house. And it would not be worth it to put a partial array up. So I also had a big tree in the back, which I still have, which they said would probably have to be cut down because it cast a shadow. It's a 100-year-old tree, and I'd be damned if I'm going to cut down that tree to put my solar up there. So I was disappointed, but I didn't give up. And well, I did sort of put it on the back burner. I didn't really think it was going to work out, but then I saw this ad for Solarize Philly in the Philly paper. I think it was in 2017, right after they launched. And I said, oh, wow, that's nice. Something happening in Philadelphia. Maybe I should check it out again. And sure enough, I did. And here we are. So I was really glad for that, because the technology has improved so much over the interim that I was able to fit all those panels on my roof and get complete coverage on my house. And so that was a pretty incredible experience. I was going to talk a little bit about my electric bills, because of course a lot of people go into solar because they want to save money on their electric bills. That actually wasn't my top priority, and I wasn't able to finance it in a way that I would be paying less for my electric, but I do save on my electric bills. I took out a solar loan, so that's going to be paid off in 10 years. And so maybe I'm paying a little bit more than my electric bills, but there are lots of ways of financing with the current program that you don't need to get into that situation where you're not benefiting from the electric bills. So what happens when they put that bidirectional meter in is that they're keeping track of your production, the production you're not using, and they're banking it. They apply it to your bill. Technically, if you're always, there's a balance being kept track of, how much you're banking with them, how much you're drawing from the grid, and whatever credits you have get applied to the nighttime use or rainy days, etc. So technically, as if your system is sized correctly, your charges for each month, they're not zero for electric use. They are just the customer charge, which is currently $10.10 a month. So if your system is sized right, that will be the amount you pay for your electric bill going forward for as long as you're connected to Pico. Of course, this amount changes slightly. When I started out, it was $9 and some cents. Now it's $10.10, but that's now, I've been active 30 months. And by comparison, my monthly electric bills in prior to solar installation were averaging $95.44. That's throughout the entire year. So the high bill for the year before I went solar was $153.88. And so that's a pretty steep difference between $10.10 and $95 and something a month. Since I've now been running my solar for about 30 months, I've noticed some changes, some unexpected things happened with my bill. there were some months that I was being charged a little bit more than the customer charge. And there have been consistently over the last 3 years, higher charges in the winter time. Technically, if I had enough banked energy, I would not be paying anything more than the $10.10. But several things have happened in the period of time since I went solar. Couple things that I didn't plan for that you would probably want to plan for if you know you're going to be adding air conditioners. I added a couple of air conditioners. If you're going to be adding a wing to your house or having extra kids or whatever, if you're doing things that are likely to increase your electric bill, you might want to have a talk with your solar installer and say, yes, I'm going solar now, but I want to make sure that my solar system covers me for the times when my electric use is going to increase. Couple of things increased my electric bill that were totally unanticipated, although in retrospect, I think they should have been anticipated. Climate change. It is actually, I went through all of my electric bills for the year before I went solar all the way until now. And it has gradually gotten hotter every year since my solar was installed. It's actually about 1.5 degrees hotter on average per month this year than it was the year before my solar was installed. So that means I'm using more energy. I have two more air conditioners, and I'm using more energy than the original system that was sized for me at the beginning of my plan. I'm also home all the time because of the pandemic, and that means that I'm using more energy unexpectedly for that reason. So it's pretty important when you get started thinking about the solar that you should have a conversation with your installer, think about what your needs are going to be, and try to see if you can get them to plan it with a little bit of leeway. Even with all of that said, currently the difference between my average monthly bill is $18 a month versus $95.50 a month. So it's still way lower than it would have been if I had not gone solar. So the savings is huge, and it's pretty immediate. And if you're not paying off a loan, you will feel it right away. Just want to make sure I covered. Oh yeah, there's another issue that affected my banked energy that I had not realized was going to be an issue at the time. I was signed up for Green Mountain Energy, which is a third-party energy producer, and through PICO. And I did not realize that being signed up for that third-party producer was going to mean that when I went solar, I would not get credit for my banked energy until I terminated my relationship with the third-party energy producer. So the first 3 months I was using my solar, the banked energy was not being credited to my account until I terminated my relationship with Green Mountain Energy. So that's something you should also make sure you look into terminating before you get started with your solar installation. At this point, I'm not sure there's anything else I have to say. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
That was really, really helpful, Leslie. Thank you so much for all those insights. And I know someone else in the chat, it's Tony, who says that it's a 12-year-old son who is pushing us about this as well. So that's really sweet.
Yeah, listen to your kids. They're so important. And this is what we can do for them to make their future brighter.
Thank you so much, Leslie. We're so lucky
Thank
to
you,
have
Leslie.
you as our
Well
ambassador.
said.
So I also want to hear from Tyrone, who is a homeowner who recently went solar during COVID-19. Tyrone, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi,
Can
Tyrone.
you
Thank
guys
you.
hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly. Thank you so much for joining us. So I know you recently went solar and we get this question a lot. What was the process like for you as a homeowner? What was the initial consultation like? Was it over Zoom? And also if there was anything about the process that you would like other homeowners to also know about.
I guess the main thing to know about is to be patient. I know for me, I started the process because I had saw my neighbor was getting an installation done. This was about like 2 years ago. And then after that, I got a card. I was already part of the pilot. I got all of my stuff done and completed the whole application. And there was still kind of a wait. And then the pandemic happened. And so patience is kind of like the key thing, I would say. I know that a lot of people are like, well, what's the point in being in the whole webinar right now if you guys aren't taking people? But like I think the point to be aware of is that so many people came and tried to be a part of the program that they literally can't service everyone. It seems like there's almost too many people who need this stuff or want it. So I'm not sure if like that's helpful for folks, but like be patient. It is a long wait, but once you have it, I think you'll be better for it. I think that's kind of the sentiment that most people feel once they have it installed.
And to be clear, Tyrone, I think you're talking about the Solar Savings Grant Program, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was part of the grant program. I think the grant program is like not a thing at the moment right now there because it needs funding. But like, yes, that took a considerable amount of time. They needed to secure funding for it. And it was like a process that was happening live while I was signing up. I know I had a lot of spirited conversations calling Mavish, trying to figure out like if I was even a part of this or not, if it was even happening, because I had already went through the process of getting my roof fixed up while I was waiting, and I didn't want it to then, I didn't want to create a situation where I had to get my roof fixed again. It was just a whole thing. But like I said, I'm glad I got it. Once the process actually started and the install needed to happen, that was actually really quick. That was actually a lot faster. Like, I mean, the guys were in here and kind of out within like, it felt like 3 days, maybe. I mean, it's like really fast,
That's great feedback, Tyrone. And like Jared mentioned, Tyrone was actually the participant of our pilot solar savings grant program, which was the city's first ever rooftop solar program, of its kind with this financing model. And it did take us some time to secure the funding and get the program off the ground. But like Tyrone mentioned, eventually we were able to get it done. And it's one of its kind model in the country, which I know several other states are now using as an example. And right now we're building on the success of this pilot to introduce new financing options. So the good news is that no one really has to wait to go solar anymore, because like Jared mentioned, there are other financing options. Doug from Polygen will be talking about a new lease financing option that we just introduced. That's another opportunity for people to go solar right away. And then we will also be hearing from Doug at Superior Solar Design, who is currently working with 3 financial partners, and they have some really amazing offerings. So right now really is the perfect time to go solar, because we have these partnerships with all of these installation companies, and these installation companies in turn have developed their own partnerships with financing agencies, and they have loans that they're offering leases. So whatever works best for your property, whatever makes sense for you, we can work it around and incorporate that in the proposal to make sure that it is the best fit for your home, for your family, for your business. And we also want to make sure that you start saving. So yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you so much, Tyrone. Do you have any other advice for people who want to go solar during the pandemic or who want to go solar right now?
Don't wait. It's better to be motivated and to press and get it done if you can, because you'll see that if you wait, then you'll likely be, I'm not going to say behind, because all that's going to happen is that solar, in my opinion, is going to continue to expand in Philadelphia, especially if it brings jobs to Philadelphia. I think that's a big facet of it. But I think that people should definitely get on board earlier if they can, just because it helps with a lot of things, and you'll kind of be on the ground level as more things start to happen, I guess, later. So it's just, I think it's just a good program. I think it's a good setup. It's a good system. That's the reason why I take time out of my day to talk about it.
Thank you so much, Tyrone. We appreciate you so much.
No problem.
Okay, so with that, let's hear from Doug at Posigen. I know we have a couple of slides, so we're going to pull those up for you right now.
Well, I'd first like to say Happy Philadelphia Solar Week. And I have the opportunity, and thank you for allowing me to talk to this group of Philadelphians. But it's a tough time for me to do that since I'm following Leslie and Tyrone. I mean, these guys, you gave a lot of really awesome information, and hopefully that information is helping the participants on this call to really consider solar. I'd like to introduce Beth Galante. Beth is the Vice President of Business Development with Posigen Solar. Beth, you're on.
Thanks so much, Douglas. And I just want to say how thrilled Posigen is to be joining these other two amazing companies with the city of Philadelphia. Posigen was started in New Orleans in 2012, and we have installed almost 18,000 homeowners in the last 9 years. So we are excited to be here. We offer 100% financing to 100% of solar feasible homeowners. So no one has to be concerned with credit score, income, getting a loan, or just worrying about that side. We guarantee savings, and we include energy efficiency for all of our homeowners. So I'm going to pass it back to Douglas because he's the on the ground day-to-day expert, and he's just going to talk you briefly through what Posigen offers. So thank you again for the opportunity to serve the city of Philadelphia.
Thank you, Beth. So our first slide says, make power and save power, and certainly solar for all. Now, what that means, next slide, please. What that means is we help turn your roof into a power plant, a miniature power plant. So the sun is going to reflect on the panels. It goes through an inverter. You've heard much about that, which all goes through your main panel box. And what you don't use, the electric company is going to bank those kilowatt hours, or you're going to sell it back to them. The bad news is they're not going to write you a check, but they will credit your account by that amount that you send back to them. Next slide, please. We couple, once we do the install of your panels, then we have a person that comes from our energy efficiency team, and they're going to do an assessment, what we call a pressure test in your home to determine what upgrades are required to give you the maximum amount of savings in your home. That could include a Nest meter, or Nest thermostat, I should say. We could replace light bulbs with LED. We're certainly going to seal where those air leaks are. And then we're going to, weather stripping around doors. Whatever it is that is determined by that crew, we're going to take care of it that day. And I want to repeat what Beth said earlier. If I did not say this, none of this is going to cost one additional penny and zero money out of pocket. So we like to call this our secret sauce. Next slide, please. So solar plus energy efficiency is going to guarantee that you lower your bill. Your home is going to be more comfortable and better air quality in your home by sealing up those air leaks. Next. The first thing we do is there's free roof and electrical assessment. The solar panels are installed on your roof. We do the home energy audit and customize your energy efficiency upgrades at no money out of pocket. We maintain, monitor, and we ensure all of the panels and the workmanship that we do. So there's no minimum income, no credit score required. It's a fixed monthly income, payment, I should say. There's no lease escalators, none. And of course, we have a referral program. Let me spend one more second here. So not one penny. It does not matter what your credit score is. It doesn't matter if you have a job. What really matters is, do you have a bill that's high enough that we could save money? And if we can't save you money, we're not going to move forward with the project. So we guarantee that the production and the system design specifically for your home is going to save enough money to pay your electric bill, cover the costs of the system, the lease cost, and put money in your pocket. So that's our written guarantee. Next slide, please. So this is just an example of a homeowner. Of course, we have the solar production monitor. It's going to be an app on your phone where you could literally look at what your panels are producing. And just for example, this customer is saving on an average of $140 a month and $1,600 in a 12-month period. And on that year to date, that customer saved $6,218. And that's as a result of the energy efficiency and the production of the panels at no money out of pocket, no deposits, no credit requirement, not even a job. Next panel, please. Next slide. So this is the end of my presentation, and it's just gonna, if I have any questions, please let me know. You could, the next one, we could end the slideshow, please. Yeah, here we go. I'm Douglas Malonson, I'm District Sales Manager, and that's my number. Any questions?
I don't have any. Yeah.
You don't? Duh,
No.
I was counting on you. So let me ask you, by a show of hands, how many people enjoy overpaying on their electric bill? Okay, let me look. I don't see any, no hands.
I don't think
How
anyone
many of
enjoys
you-
that.
How many of you would prefer to put money in your pocket as opposed to overpaying on your electric bill? Show of hands. I have two. So I would. I think I'm the only guy. So I want to say to you that we are very excited about serving this community and offering this no upfront cost, no minimum credit score, no job, no out of pocket, and a written guarantee that we're going to save you money or we're not going to put them on your roof. And we maintain and we service the panels for the full length of the lease, which is a 20-year lease.
Thank you so much, Doug. That is really helpful information. And thank you so much for explaining the lease financing model. So up next, we have Doug from Superior Solar Design. Doug, I would love for you to talk more about your company, and then we can take a deeper dive into some of the financing options that you offer.
Okay. Well, I'm proud to be part of this and very happy to be part of the Solarize Philly. And thanks. I think we have 45 participants right now. So thanks everybody for joining. I don't know if anybody ever had an epiphany in their life, but I did. My wife did. It was like 2008. A friend of ours was in from California, and he got a solar calculator at the University of Miami in 1977, and he became infatuated with solar and moved out to California. He came back to visit his parents. He stopped in and visited us, and he started talking about solar. He said, Doug, Pennsylvania is going to get a great sunshine grant program. The stimulus package is going to offer this, and the other thing. And myself and my wife were like, wow, this is something that's really cool. We had been involved in the tech entrepreneurs in the past. And this is something that I could see had a tremendous future. Not only is it going to save people money, but it's going to help save our planet. There's just so many bad things going on right now with floods and everything else. So a little bit about our company. We actually started in 2009 as a sunshine grant contractor. And it was, when we say we, it was my wife and myself. I'm co-owner. My wife's co-owner. We're a minority owned company. We started out with manufacturing a solar charging table, which was basically something you could put anywhere. And it would have a solar canopy, like a picnic table with a solar canopy on it, and battery chargers. And you could plug in your phones or any other electronic device and be able to basically have power wherever you were. You could put one of these in the middle of the Grand Canyon, it would work fine. It was a great idea, but unfortunately it wasn't very viable because it was a niche market where colleges and universities are basically the ones that were buying. So with that being said, we segued into the installation end of it. We took, I don't know how many classes to get certified. PV, solar hot water heating, BPI. Douglas mentioned BPI. That's probably the hardest course I ever took in my life. Man, that's tough. Let me tell you, there's a lot involved. I learned what a Pascal was, that's for sure. And so that's how we got started. We have some different financing options. Is it okay to go into the next segment?
Yes, that would be great.
Okay. We offer different financing options for our customers. We have programs with the National Energy Improvement Fund, which I personally like. It's a nice program. The homeowner doesn't have to put out any money until everything's done. So everybody has a happy day when everything's done at the end. We also do financing with a Mariner Finance Company for people that might be more credit challenged. And we offer financing through Foundation Finance, which is another finance company. And one thing all these companies have in common is we don't charge any dealer fees. Dealer fees are basically when you go to, let's say you're buying something, they say you get 0% interest. Well, somebody's lending that merchant the money and what they're doing is they're charging maybe 15%, 20%, and it's getting passed on to the customer who thinks he's getting a really good deal. So what we do is we present it in cash, and then based on every situation, we decide with the customer, what's the best option for that person to do? Is it a home equity line of credit with U.S. Mortgage? Is it a National Energy Improvement Fund where there's no ties with your house? It's pretty easy to get. This is based on credit score and debt to income ratio. So typically, there are the three financing messages. I'm sorry, I'm like blah, blah, blah. My lips are sticking together. So there are four finance companies that we work with. Now, I don't know if you want to show some of the pictures I sent. If you wanted to, I thought I'd send some pictures into some different types of projects that we've done in the past, something that you might not have ever seen. So whenever you're ready, I'll just comment on each one of the slides.
Sure, I will pull the photos. Give me a minute.
Okay, this is a very cool project. This is it's a home where the southern exposure on the roof wasn't as much as the space wasn't big enough to be able to offset all the guys' power. So we ended up doing a solar canopy down the side of this house. There were no windows there, so it was an excellent place to put it, and the orientation was direct south. We were able to add 9 extra panels, 3 rows on this, and that was solar canopy, something maybe nobody ever saw before. That's the finished product right there. You can see how the canopy blends in with the house and the rest of the roof. This is a different project. This is a, believe it or not, this barn is incredible. This is a cedar shake roof, and we installed the system on that. It's a lot more challenging to work on that type of roof, but we're able to pretty much work with any roof. The only one I've ever said no to is like a 200-year-old house with slate roofs. But I know if we even looked at the slate tiles, they're going to break, and I can't replace them.
Doug,
So-
could you also clarify that it's 100% possible to also install on flat roofs? I get this question a lot.
Absolutely.
And people think just because it's a Philly row home that has a flat roof, they can't go solar, but that is not true. We can 100% definitely install on flat roofs.
Absolutely, Mavish. You're so correct. That I really like flat roofs because you can basically have the orientation that you prefer. So with a flat roof, we can point the panels in different directions and be able to get maximum productivity. This is basically it's close to 3,000 solar panels. It's powering a sand and gravel mine in North Jersey. We did this project a couple of years ago. You can see on my truck is that little dot next to all the panels there. So, right there. So basically these guys were spending $20,000 a month just on electric. The whole plant's running on electric, and it happens to be in New Jersey, so they had some really nice incentives. And now the whole place is powered by solar, the whole plant. So they went from spending $20,000 a month to nothing. So it's nice. This is another metal roof right here. This is an additional, we have a customer that wanted to just add some more power. So we put it on a different part of the roof, and that's a corrugated metal roof. So we can do corrugated metal like this guy right here. This is a shot from our drone. And this is a building in Downingtown, a tool rental company, an equipment rental company. And there are 100 solar panels on here. It's a 40 kW system. And it powers his whole garage, basically everything, the offices, everything they do there, heat, air, everything. So that was a pretty cool project. That was one of my favorites. Are you able to show the video of the construction?
Yeah, I think we have one more speaker, so I'm going to actually invite Terry to share a few words with us first, and then
Okay.
towards the end, if you still have a minute to spare, I'd also be happy to play that video. So Terry, are you on now?
I am.
Hi, Terry. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Terry.
Pleasure. Hi. I'm not exactly sure what was said previously. Do you want to, is there a specific way that you want me to share, Mavish?
Yes, so I will ask you a few questions, but I just wanted to introduce you first. So you went solar with us, was it 2018, Terry? One of our first or second Solarize Philly round, and
Very first.
So you've been an ambassador with us ever since, educating people. So thank you so much for joining us today, Terry. And it would be great if you could just start by talking a bit about your solar journey and what inspired you to go solar.
Okay. Well, my partner lives in an eco village in North Carolina, and they live off the grid, and that woke me up. Like Doug was saying, an aha moment. I'm like, whoa. So that woke me up. I finally built a house before I renovated a house, but pretty fully. And before I even started, I had given Solar States my deposit. I wanted solar for sure. And it was before Solarize, and I guess it was 2013, 2012. And ran into a few problems in construction, as it tends to happen in Philly. And so by the end of the project, I didn't really have any money left. And then, so maybe whatever, I guess it was 4 or 5 years went by. And we were going to do I was trying to organize the Solarize Riverwoods. It's where I live in the city of Philly. And right at when that was all gonna happen, the city came up with Solarize Philly, and it was like a dream come true. And so I signed up right away, and the process was actually pretty fast. They came out. I was lucky. I have a slanted roof that basically faces south, that literally was exactly the size of the 12 panels that I have, which is I basically even out. I'm a little bit, I produce a teeny bit more than I use each year. So I've had it, maybe this is my third or fourth year, and I've always consistently produced a little bit more. Okay, so is that enough about my journey?
Yes, that was fantastic. Thank
And
you so
I
much.
turn my lights on. I used to tell these jokes. It's like, as soon as I get my solar panels, I'm issuing flashlights, and that's it, where I'm not even going to turn a light switch on. But I do, and I have air conditioning and use it probably a lot less than others, but still.
That's
Sorry.
great, Terry. Thank you. So I know you talked about, like, you were trying to organize your own Solarize Philly campaign, not Solarize Philly, it was another campaign, and then Solarize Philly came along. But even though you said that the process was smooth and it was easy, can you think of any challenges or anything that homeowners should be aware of or they should be thinking about before they go solar? Anything that surprised you about the process?
Well, nothing really actually particularly surprised me. I think Leslie, the one thing that did, I think Leslie spoke of, and I did have energy. I think I was with, I paid for solar. I went through a secondary thing with Pico, and I forget what, I just had to call them and get off their plan. And but I immediately started. It was really, really very smooth. I liked the install team. They are in my neighborhood. I didn't have to switch to anybody else. No offense to, I don't know who's on here, and I'm sure you're wonderful too. So I really didn't have any surprises. I think the communication was crystal clear from the beginning, and they walked me through it. All my questions have been answered over, and I had many. So whether it was PEA who answered my question or my installer that answered my question, I mean, to this day, it's been 5 years, and I can tell you this one thing: one of my panels went out. This was like this year, and I noticed it because I have that app, and I called up my installer, and they said, "Oh yeah, look at that," and they came out within a few days. They went up there, they fixed it. And that was that. So it was all easy, which is not always the case.
Thank you so much, Terry. Okay, so we just received a message from T Beard who says that there is a football game that's about to start soon. And I know there are folks who are like coming in and out of the webinar. So we can actually allow you to talk. And if you have any questions, you can ask us right now before you hop off for the game.
What game? Hey, I'm not watching tennis right now to be on here. Football's not the only sport.
Okay, so while we're waiting for questions from Beard, we do have another question that is regarding, does lightning affect panels? This is also, so we're also streaming this session live on Facebook. It is currently being viewed by a lot of people, and this is also one of the questions that we got on the Facebook. So if any one of the installers would like to address this question.
Anybody want to go? I mean, I'll go if you like. All the systems are grounded, are the solar panels. If it's very rare as lightning strike is going to hit a solar panel. We have seen events where there was power surge and might have fried some breakers, but the solar inverter and the panels were boom, right back up and running as soon as it was done. What other questions were there regarding the installations?
So there's one other question from Dorothy. And the question is, I have a gas furnace, stove, hot water heater, and fireplace. what would be the cost for replacing all of these to convert to all electric? So I think this is a question that we can actually address once you sign up for the program, and we would generate that proposal for you that would be specific to your property. So as a part of the proposal, the installers typically, they also do a site survey, and they look at your, all the electrical appliances in your house, and if you need any electrical upgrades. So they would be able to help you with this question and let you know exactly what the upgrade would cost. Okay, so
Oh, can I add a quick sidebar to that too?
sure, go
Pico
ahead.
Pico offers like an energy assessment program that they have too, where they'll probably look at that stuff for you and make an assessment for you so that you can get a determination from somebody who can like assess all those numbers outside of Solar States or working with a contractor. Just a heads up.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Tyrone. Yes, that is a great resource. Okay, so T-Beard, do you have a question? I believe you have the ability to speak now.
Yes, thank you. For the previous speaker who mentioned that she gets a surplus at the end of the year, can you just comment on that a little bit more? Explain how does it happen and how long have you been getting a surplus?
That would be me. I could show you on my bill. That was another thing. My installer came and we did a little thing. I was like, how the heck do you read this bill? So, when your solar team comes out, they'll look at your bills. I think there was a question. They looked at some of my bills and they told me how much I would generally need. They try to, at least in the time that I was doing it, they size it, not, just so that you're covering your bill if you can do it, which I am able to do. And so, the way it works is it tells you how much you use, how much you generated in each month. Every month you get a bill. And every month, here's something, I don't know if somebody said this, I still have to pay Pico like $10.24 every month just to be connected to Pico. Like the water company in Philadelphia, you have to pay them a certain amount of money. So I pay $10 every month. But there's a place where they keep track of kilowatts in, kilowatts out, and they tell you, here's your bank distribution. So if in 1 month, like now, generally I'm producing a lot more than I'm using, right? It's long sunny days. Rainy days are bad, sunny days are good, except for the garden. So it tells me every month, let's say I used 100 and I generated 150. So I banked 50. But in the winter, when it's a short day, I might use 100 and generate 50. So now I'm even. But in April, they zero it out, basically, and give you a credit. So that's what they do. So I think mine's in April. Let's say I have 200 kilowatt, I don't, whatever the number is, I could look on my bill. They zero it out and then they give me they change it into dollars and they give me a credit. And so let's say I have a $50 credit or a $200 credit, then I don't have to pay that $10 every month because it's zero until I use $200 worth of that $10.
Thank you, Terry. That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you.
Yes, I agree, Terry.
There's one other thing, sorry.
I'm just going to chime in because I did a very extensive analysis of my bills before the webinar today. And I actually noticed that credit. I got credit in the April credit. I didn't really understand what was going on until I really looked through and went through the whole thing with a fine-tooth comb. And there I saw that in April, there is typically a credit. And my credit hasn't really been more than $15, which then was spread out over 2 months. So I had 1 month where it was zero I was paying and another month where it was $4.69. And then, then I have later in the year, which is usually in the fall and winter, those are the months where my banked credits tend to run out. And then I'm paying maybe anywhere from $15 to $40 above all total for my bill. So, so the average throughout the year ends up being $18 rather than $10. But that hopefully I'm gonna fix by either seeing if I can optimize my system or possibly adding more panels. And thank God I rearranged my panels when that antenna broke, because I have room for more panels. So that may be what I'll do.
Those are great insights, Terry, Leslie, and I know Tyrone is also chiming in the chat. I'm conscious of the time. Our time here is almost up. I just got a direct message, someone who's viewing us on Facebook. How can we get in touch with Solarize Philly? I'm going to leave you with our contact details. Maxine, if you wouldn't mind pulling up that slide. And I know we do have a lot of questions, so if it would be helpful, we can have another webinar. I know a lot of folks are interested in learning more about the Pico credits, and Pico actually offered to host a pop-up webinar, so we can also put that on the calendar, within the next 3 or 4 months. But I always say that, community and Philadelphians, they really lie at the heart of everything that we do, and we would absolutely love to hear from all of you. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. I'm leaving you here with my email, and then you can also visit our website. For those of you who already signed up for Solarize Philly, we will be connecting you with one of our installers soon, so you don't need to worry. But for those of you who didn't sign up as yet, please go to solarizephilly.org. It will literally take you 2 minutes, and once you sign up, we will help you through the next steps. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. A huge thanks to all our installers and homeowners who joined us today. And we look forward to Solarize Philly with all of you. Happy Solar Week, everyone. Thanks
Happy
for being
Solar
here.
Week.
Yay.
Happy Solar Week.
Great job, Mavish, as usual.
Great job.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, everyone.
Have a great night, everybody.
Have a good night. Thank you so much, Jared.
Take care, Jared.